Hi, thank you for choosing Muddy Boots Outdoors today, and in this episode we're going to cover how to install a stern cover on the front of your personal watercraft that would be trailerable. So we're going to go ahead, and this particular product is Mega Ware. It's called a bow. Why did I call it a stern? Yeah, I'm sorry, bow guard. So as you can see there, I was initially trying to fit it. So right now I am just going to kind of adjust the nose piece to make it round out a little bit. Now when you get this, it is entirely flat, so I had already kind of bent it a little bit. So just using a rubber mallet there, I want to say a 24 ounce, one side's hard, one side soft. Just kind of tap it into shape, and there is a protective coating on it. That's what that blue is. Go ahead and leave that coating on. That will prevent any marring and gouging of the metal if you do happen to hit it with something a little bit harder. So here I'm just kind of tapping it and going out and test fitting. As I keep coming back and just trying to work that shape a little bit. Now, on the insides of my bow, it is very pointed, and actually I bent these the wrong way. I meant to bend them towards me, which I will, here in a minute, figure out, and then I'll have to rebend them just to kind of give them a press. So, one thing I did learn at the end of all of this is a lot of this was unnecessary, and you'll kind of see, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So I'm going to go and test fit to make sure. See, now I've realized that, oops, I did it the wrong way. And now I need to bend those towards me. There it is. So right now in this initial stage, I'm just trying to find a close shape. And that shape is mainly just kind of a rough. And that is just to kind of get everything fitted in place. So with this, I'm pretty sure that I'm satisfied that this shape is going to be close enough, and now I'm just determining on which way that I want to actually mount it. But beforehand, always make sure that you read your directions, and in these directions you need to scuff up the area to get proper adhesion from the 3M adhesive that is on the back of that. So, and one thing you can do is take a wax pencil. I didn't do it in this because I couldn't find one on hand, but just kind of, if need be, eyeball out where it's going to fit. And so I started with some steel wool. I think it was just fine grit, just to kind of give it a good generalized roughing up. And I kind of went, as you could see, in both directions, perpendicular and horizontal. And that way it would make many aggregations for the adhesive to stick to. So, and you want to make sure that you do both sides the same way, that is. I want to say in total this whole process probably took close to about maybe an hour. I wasn't in any rush. So that is 150 grit sandpaper. So I went up and did some fine wool, and then I've got that little scrub brush that's a 60 and on one side an 80 grit on the other. I believe that I went from the 150 and I used the 60 grit to just get a little bit rougher. And all in all, I mean, I probably damaged the clear coat a little bit, but since I don't plan on removing this, it's okay. So this isn't something that I really wanted to rush through either, and I would suggest that, just take your time, get a good aggravation of the substance that you're going to put this on, because what you really want it to adhere, and mind you that this is one of the warmer days in the winter. I think it was about 55, maybe 60, and I want to say the directions say to, not install this in any weather under 55. So as with the other side, you just want to go ahead and do the same to both sides equally. One thing that I would note is to mark with the wax pencil, and then get your bow hook. I would set that in place first and then make sure that everything is lined up. That's one mistake that I didn't do. I really wish I would have, looking back on it now. But I do believe that the bow U-bolt that I have it should fit over it, and it'll kind of bolt down, and it should be okay. So once after the 50 grit, I went ahead and put the 60 grit on there, and that one actually, it roughed it up really well and kind of made things a little bit more uniform. Probably some deeper gouges, and should give it some really good adhesion. So then you just kind of check to make sure that you're not going outside of your area, which I did a little bit there in the front. But in next video, I am putting on an actual keel guard, so it kind of covers that up. As you can see, I kind of flip back and forth between the 60 and the 80. Didn't really go too intense, just just enough. I think for the most part, I mainly just kind of roughed up the clear coat on there. I know I didn't even take the clear coat off. But before you're going to start your adhesion, make sure you clean it up real well. So a dry rag will work fairly well to get most things off. And to go an extra step, always make sure you read your directions, because the directions actually did have specific instructions. And those were to use acetone, and with that, the acetone will thoroughly clean and dry instantly, removing any and all steel wool fibers, the cotton fibers from those rags, any grit that might still be in there, any impurity that could potentially affect the adhesion of that product. The acetone will remove it. So once everything's cleaned up, just go ahead and double check your fit. And here's where I was trying to decide which way I wanted this to go on. Since there actually will be a rib guard on the top there, I kind of felt that this way that I have it there would be sufficient because of how much lower that it sat, and on how this actually sits in the trailer, it would cover better. So when you peel this off, make sure that you do not touch the sticky side. That will affect your adhesion, but just start in the corners as best you can. Get it good and peeled off. And this is where you really want to take your time. Make sure, if you did draw out lines, then you should be good to go, but make sure everything's lined up, you got everything covered up, height how you want it, and when you press it, you want to press from the middle. Okay, and I'm going to kind of block the shot here a little bit, but you want to press from the middle, working your way from the top down to the bottom of the middle. And then you will work your way out to the sides, okay? But you want to make sure that that middle is very secure, because then you can form the sides to the sides of the actual watercraft. So, and if it gets a little hard to push in, this is stiff metal, you just go ahead and get some other help. And that rubber mallet there with the soft and hard side works very well. Just some good hard taps to get it seated, get that adhesion. Make sure you tap it both sides. As you can see, I'm not being gentle. And then from here, you are just going to kind of form it to the shape of the actual watercraft to make sure, and just make sure that you do have really good adhesion and that everything is sticking, you don't have any gaps where the adhesive material is not actually attached. One thing I did do that wasn't on this video is later that night I knew the temperatures were going to drop, so I went ahead and actually got a little space heater, and I put that space heater on it with some clips, and the clips just gave some extra holding power, and then the actual space heater would heat that adhesive material up to let it kind of bond a little bit better. But that is the finished product, and that is your bow guard.